West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
Love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. We're going to be talking with the Director of Marketing and Communications with the South Metro Denver Chamber coming up about the annual Women in Business Conference. You're not going to want to miss that. Let's go back to the phone lines. The state of Colorado, though, facing a $1.2 billion budget deficit. Jared Polis calling an emergency session to try to deal with it. Barb Kirkmeyer joined us earlier saying he doesn't need to do this. He's literally the governor. He can just go tell departments not to spend as much money.
And she outlined how Owens did that in the early 2000s.
And even Hickenlooper, I think she pointed out at one point. So you don't have to do it, Jared, but then, you know, he wants to raise taxes, and I'm pointing out that he didn't pay a lot of federal income tax. In fact, there were some years he just didn't pay any at all. So, all right, who do you blame for this problem? Let's go to the phone lines. Bruce, good morning, Bruce. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I think it's a combination of problems, but the reason I called in was to put clarification on, I think, Spencer's comment that $700 million at the end of the legislative session. That is a separate problem than the $1 billion problem that the legislature or the governor needs to deal with now. This one here is sort of like if you're living paycheck to paycheck and your employer says, we're going to cut your pay by 3%. Well, that's a problem. And you got to figure out where you're going to tighten the belt. Whereas the one at the end of May, the legislative session was cutting back on what was programmed to be spent. You know, let's say school lunches, maybe it was programmed to spend $500 million on it, but there's only $400 million coming in. So they had to cut that $100 million problem.
Yeah, Bruce, so, I appreciate that, and you are 110%. Yeah, and it's 110% right, because after Spencer was on, I went and I'm like, I don't remember the issues that in May and how this is now, and I looked at some of the stuff that was written about it, and you're right, that back in May we were dealing with the budget crisis that was existing at the time, and then after that, the big, beautiful bill passed, and this is additional money that is not flowing into Colorado. So you're right, this is a new deficit that they are dealing with, and I like your accuracy on the idea of income. And for me, it's almost the idea of, rather than just cutting the pure pay, the idea of commission. And so the idea that, hey, I know that you were pulling 11% on commission. Now we've decided the company is going to pay you 5%. And so even if you're doing the regular work, you're not pulling the same amount of money. But yeah, the idea of the company coming and saying cutting your money that you're getting by 3%. So you would have to adjust your family budget because the amount of money coming in isn't the same. And some of this deficit is absolutely in the budget, the result of cuts from the big, beautiful bill. Now, Bruce,
you're correct.
Do you think that they are going to find a solution? And do you think that solution in the special session will be more predominantly cutting programs or raising taxes? If you had to go on a scale of 51-49, where do you think this legislative session is going to settle? Taxes or cuts?
Well, they can't raise taxes because of Tabor, so I'm going to correct your terminology and say they'll raise fees somewhere along the line. We in Colorado do not have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. And that's what your conversation has been for the last hour or so that I've been listening. All legislators, not just Democrats, although I would submit that they're worse in this category, but all legislators, all politicians think that your and my money is theirs first. And that's just sort of a mindset. So cutting programs? No, I don't think so. There might be the token program cut or the hand-wringing of, we can't do full 5-day preschool or, lunches in schools and, the public relations type things. Look at what the evil federal government is doing. But now I think you're going to find subtle fee increases that will go to make up the deficit.
Bruce, really appreciate the call. Very thoughtful. Great calls today. You all have been great. Bruce's line is open, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Coming up after News and Comment with Blake Olson, Heather Gallien's going to join us. She's the Director of Marketing and Communications for the South Metro Denver Chambers. The ladies are getting together for a Women in Business conference here in the South Metro area. Women in Business Conference, August 21st, coming up. Yes, dudes, you are invited. And gentlemen, I can't think of a better place to be, to meet awesome ladies doing great work, business leaders, than the Women in Business Conference. So we'll get more some details on that. But now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. Thursday, 83 and partly cloudy. Expecting a high of 98 today in Denver. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, new tariffs are now in effect. Import taxes will reach levels not seen in the country in almost 100 years, with over 60 countries in the European Union facing rates of 15% or more. In a post on Truth Social just after they went into effect, 47 said billions of dollars are now flowing into the U.S.
I've been saying he's been mismanagement for the last 7 years. But
State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer on with Jeff and Billy this morning talking about the governor. Polis has ordered a special session to address a projected $1.2 billion budget shortfall. Republicans blame the crisis on overspending. Kirkmeyer knows the dealio.
They're saying that we need to go increase taxes. And because they have mismanaged the budget, because they took one-time COVID dollars and turned them into ongoing spending, because they didn't fund core critical priorities in this state, core functions of government in this state first. Instead, they funded all the nice-to-haves, all the things that they just really wanted to do, all the governor's pet projects.
There may be a meeting between DJT and Putin as early as next week. That's the word from the Kremlin, which noted it was America's suggestion. Sergeant Cornelius Radford, the suspected gunman of the mass shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia, believed to have used his own handgun. 3 of the 5 soldiers shot in the incident are now out of the hospital, thankfully. Radford is in custody. The Attorney General of Texas is reversing course and now signaling openness to have the FBI assist in the state's redistricting battle. His political rival, Senator John Cornyn, issued a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel urging the FBI's involvement in returning the Democratic bozos who fled to various commie states earlier this week. Stephen Miller.
Democrats rigged the 2020 census by including illegal aliens. Remember, they sued Donald Trump. They sued the administration. They fought tooth and nail to include illegal aliens in the census. 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist but for illegal aliens. Texas is taking just a small corrective step against this ocean of fraud this ocean of abuse by the corrupt Democrat Party, Sean.
That was on Fox News Channel last night. It's really early, but Harry Enton on CNN on J.D. Vance's chances in the presidential race in 3.5 years.
I'm going to quote the esteemed scholar Larry David and say, pretty good. What are we talking about right here? Well, why don't we take a look here? Look, this is early polling, but look, for the GOP nomination, it's J.D. Vance at 40%. There's no one even close to him. Ron DeSantis back at single digits at 8%. Donald Trump Jr. back at 7%. And I know Kate Baldwin will say, Harry, it's so early. It's too early to look at the polling.
You said it. You don't even need me to say it.
I said it, quoting you. I was channeling you. But keep in mind that early favorites have actually gone on to win the nomination 63% of the time, those who have run since 1980. And when you're dealing with fields that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, upwards of north of 20, and all of a sudden you're telling me that the early poll leader, who is J.D. Vance, that those win more than 50% of the time? That is why I say it looks pretty gosh darn good, or pretty good.
Okay. All right. The Broncos training camp continues. Once again, their first preseason game on Saturday against the Niners. Blue Jays embarrassed the Rockies 20-1. And let's see, Shedeur Sanders will start Friday for the Browns. That's the biggest story in the preseason. We'll be watching Shedeur Sanders for Cleveland. He's 4th on the depth chart, but this is a chance for him to maybe impress the coaching staff. 82 in Aurora, 81 in Lakewood, 83 in Denver. Jeff and Billy can continue to keep winning.
Winner, I'm going to win.
That's my job. That's what I do.
It's just my nature.
Are you not entertained? I'm going to show you how great I am.
You play to win the game.
Here's the situation.
I'm the best there is, plain and simple.
You can't handle the truth. It's all there, black and white, clear.
That's a new DJT video all about winning. And you are listening to the Jeff and Billy Show. Blake Olson, News Talk.
That's how winning is done.
Not
710 KNUS.
Your day weather forecast for the Denver metro area calls for a warm morning. That'll give us a good head start to another very hot day here around the metro area and region, flirting with the century mark and record highs today. Heat advisories in effect from 10 a.m. this morning to 7 p.m. this evening. Mid-60s tonight. Hazy, smoky skies again Friday. Highs near 100. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's talk Danny C. Dan Caplis Law. I've known this guy for well over a decade. Pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. Dan Caplis has been delivering justice for people of Colorado for 40 years, helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. If you're hurt in an injury case, you got to give Dan Caplis a call. Here's his courtroom record. He is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. In fact, Dan Caplis Law is so trusted, he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. All right, coming up, the great 2025 Women in Business Conference, August 21st. Love this. In part because my mom was a businesswoman. So I grew up watching her build a business, all the struggles that come with it, Not only did she do that, she raised a family. So impressive. These ladies that are doing it all. And this is a wonderful conference. Joining us now, Heather Gallien. She's the Director of Marketing and Communications for the South Metro Denver Chamber. Heather, thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill Show.
Happy to be on the Jeff and Bill Show, so thanks for inviting me.
Tell us about the Women in Business Conference, this great opportunity, what it will entail, who's speaking, and what people will get out of attending it.
Yeah, great question. The Women in Business Conference is probably one of the Chamber's most popular events. We do it every year in August. This year it's going to be Thursday, August 21st from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it's really a full day event. And it's going to be at the Sheraton Denver Tech Center Hotel, which is in Greenwood Village. So every year we have a theme, and this year's theme is Building Your Legacy, Bridging Generations. And a lot of people don't really think about their legacy, which is what's the mark you're going to leave on the world. So this is a great day to bring people in your organization to start thinking about that question. We're going to be doing breakout sessions with legacy building exercises that will get people to start thinking, how do I want to shape my legacy, and what do I need to do to get there? So truly, this event could be a day that changes the trajectory of people's lives. So it's going to be a ton of fun, and we have some very big-name women speakers who are going to be in attendance.
Now let's talk about some of those names. Jandel Allen Davis, she's a doctor and president of CEO of Craig Hospital. I mean, that is a big system. Hundreds, if not thousands of employees, I imagine she's managing. She's going to talk about legacy on being good for your ancestors, our great responsibility to them. You've also got Tamara Ryan, former CEO of the Women's Bean Project, building a legacy and how to create a life that outlives you. The MC is Denise Plant, a media personality. I mean, you got a great lineup of some serious business leaders.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And Jandel Allen Davis from Craig Hospital, she is just not only a powerhouse in terms of running a hospital, but she has worked in social justice for many years, and she has just accomplished so many things that if you don't know about her track record, it is worth showing up to hear her. Tamara Ryan is the former CEO of the Women's Bean Project, and Tamara has specialized in supporting marginalized women for decades, another powerhouse in supporting women. We also have a really cool panel discussion. This is going to be a super diverse panel because, first of all, we have a girl who's, well, I won't say girl, we have a young woman named Kaylee Jewett who is 14 years old. She has already given a TED Talk, and she's a leader in the automotive industry. Then we have Christina Scala, who is the founder of the Aspen Academy, a very well-regarded school in the Denver area. And we have Anthony and April Lombados, who own Footers Catering, which is a multi-generational business. So these three folks are going to talk about building a business legacy from three very different perspectives. So the panel is going to be a ton of fun. And then, like I said, between speakers and the panel, we're going to be doing breakout activities with the guests where they're going to start to consider what they want their legacy to be, and they're going to do some exercises to help them craft that and share that with others in the room.
That's Heather Gallien, Director of Marketing and Communications for South Metro Denver Chamber of Commerce. South Metro Chamber of Commerce. Good job. Nice job, Bill. I'm having one of those days. Can I buy a vowel, please, and then spin the wheel, Pat? Okay. Now, Heather, what I want to talk about is you talk about the idea of building these women, building their business legacies. I want to dial it back just a little bit and talk about the women in our audience that are just trying to get the business started. They're just on that front cusp. And the idea of, maybe they're hearing the idea of legacy. They're like, I'm just searching for my first product and my first handful of customers. Legacy is so far down the road away from what I am. What does this event offer for those that are on the front end of their entrepreneurial or career journey?
Oh my goodness, that is such a terrific question. Outstanding. Yes. When we think of the word legacy, we think, wow, well, that's, that's something that happens when I'm really old and then I die and people read what's on my tombstone, right? That's kind of how we think about that word. But legacy, when you have a North Star, you know what you want your legacy to be. That becomes your guiding drive. So if you're a woman, you are starting a new business, you don't know how it's going to go, you have a lot of fear around it, this is a perfect event, because what you're going to get out of it is you're going to walk away with a sense of, here is my future. Here's how I intentionally want to create my business. And now I've got this vision in place, and that vision is going to guide your daily decisions. So every day you're going to wake up in your new business or your new endeavor, and this North Star is going to help you make daily decisions that are going to get you toward that legacy. And what that means is you're going to have a guide in the back of your head that's going to guide how you're running your business. It's going to keep you on track. Because when you're guided by your legacy, every decision you make is taking you in that destination. So I would say it's a perfect event for women who are just starting out in business, because a lot of times it's that lack of clarity about what you're doing and where you're going, and this can help give you that clarity to move your business forward in a direction with purpose and meaning.
That's Heather Gallien, Director of Marketing and Communications with South Metro Denver Chamber. Great event coming up here on August 21st, the 2025 Annual Women in Business Conference, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Sheraton Denver Tech Center. If you want to learn more, you can go to bestchamber.com, bestchamber.com. Now, Heather, you are a professional woman. You're going to be hosting an event about women in business, leadership. My wife's a professional woman. She's an attorney and a spokesperson. My mom owned businesses and radio stations and all that. The women in our lives, so many of them operating, working in business. What are some of the biggest challenges that they're facing, that you're facing as a woman in business? And how do you plan to address some of those through this conference?
I think that one of the biggest challenges facing women is our own internal preconceived notions, our own limiting self-beliefs that we can't have more, right? So I think women suffer a little bit more from imposter syndrome, right? We've grown up in a more male-dominated society, and although that's changing, I think what still holds us back is our own beliefs that we can't have as much or we can't do as much. And I think that's why events like this are so important. Because this is one of those events that's going to challenge any self-limiting beliefs you have and really help you believe that I can do it, I can make it, I have the tools, I have the skills, and now I have a guiding vision that is the legacy that I'm crafting. So I think we live in a society, I believe, where women are afforded as many opportunities as men, but we need to internally feel and own our power to make the things happen that we want. And this event is a great place to start to do that.
It sounds like it's going to be a really terrific event. The 2025 Annual Women in Business Conference, Thursday, August 21st, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, last question, are men invited? Are they allowed to be a part of this?
Yes, absolutely. Because, this event, while it celebrates and empowers women, everyone should be celebrating and empowering women, especially men, right? So yes, men are encouraged to attend. We want men to attend. And we want organizations to think about bringing a table of their up-and-comers to the event as well. Again, male or female. Because when you think about the young people who are working in your organization, these are going to be the future. They're going to be the future people running your company someday. So we really encourage companies to think about buy a table for 8 and bring people that you want to uplift in your organization, including men. So yes, we would love to see some male faces there.
I think if you're a male business owner looking to hire this is a place you're going to find very talented employees. If you own a business, want to empower your own women and male employees, this is a great place to do it. I found that these South Metro Denver Chamber events, where we've done some live broadcasts before, Bill, are absolutely fantastic. The energy is there. These are the people that build things out of nothing. Sometimes they're entrepreneurs. They are talented. They're leaders in the community, and they're all together in one spot. Why wouldn't you want to be there? Great opportunity for you all. The 2025 Annual Women in Business Conference, Thursday, August 21st, 2025, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., the Sheraton Denver Tech Center. Go to bestchamber.com, bestchamber.com to register there today. Heather Gallien, Director of Marketing and Communications with the South Metro Denver Chamber, thank you so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show today.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so very much. And, just a final note to the men listening out there. Again, I think one of you mentioned this earlier, but if you're looking for a place where you're going to meet some high-end, stellar, professional business women, this would be a great place to show up. You're going to have a room full of accomplished, beautiful, successful women.
Yes.
So, take that into account too, men.
Smart men are going to be there, 100%.
That's right.
That's right, Heather Gallien. So appreciate your time, and thank you so much for your support with the South Metro Denver Chamber.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Headline from the Denver Gazette. Colorado wildlife officers hunt for wolf in northwest Colorado as another wolf dies in Wyoming. This is going to go down in the annals as some of the worst animal cruelty. We shipped a whole bunch of wolves, like kidnapped them out of their environment, flew them down here, drop them off, and they're all dying on their way back home. It's like that movie with, you remember Michael J. Fox, Homeward Bound?
Homeward Bound, yeah.
That was a great film. With a little cat and the dog, two dogs, and they're all trying to make their way home. These poor wolves just trying to do the same thing, Bill.
Well,
dying once they get to Wyoming. Do you remember the guy who, like, paraded one around the bar?
Yeah. I think for me, this is somewhat natural. They will return to their own territory. And we talked about this in the past, that when you're taking the wolves out of what is their environment and then placing them to a new one, that is stressful, and it's a problem for the animal, because the very first thing, it's not like, here's the thing is, they don't look at it like we would, where if you took us out of the Denver metro and brought us onto the Eastern Plains or brought us onto the mountains, we'd explore and go, wow, look at this new opportunity, look at all this. The animals freak out because they don't understand where they are, they don't understand the why, and they have to now redefine their territorial space.
Right.
And they will not eat for a while until they feel safe. One of the things that is the most dangerous sometimes for many predators is that idea of feeding, because you are most vulnerable at that time. And so especially if you're trying to feed young ones, etc. So they have to realize where resources are. They have to start managing both water, food, shelter. It's difficult, and animals do have a sense of direction and territory, and it wouldn't be unusual to see them try to migrate back into what was their native territory.
Yeah, right.
This is expected.
They're just trying to go home.
Yeah, this is expected.
10 out of the 25 are now dead.
And again, this is what we would expect. However, I also say that wolves are natural here in Colorado, and trying to, raise up a population. I understand the predation as far as ranchers and farmers, and I do think they should be compensated. But I think that the wolves have a role inside of the ecosystem. Now, this isn't exactly applicable to Colorado, but they are saying inside of Yellowstone, the park rangers there are saying they're seeing some plant life come back that they haven't seen in decades because of increase of wolves. So that's part of the idea of how that is a benefit to the ecosystem, because they're taking down the animals, the elk, that were eating the saplings for the aspen trees and other, grasses and stuff. So there's a point. There's a place for them.
We've spent now millions of dollars on this. We've taken 25 wolves out of their original homes. 10 of them have died. And meanwhile, listen to this. They're now on the hunt for an uncollared wolf that killed 3 sheep in Rio Blanco County. The agency said the wolf attacked the sheep on July 20th, July 22nd, and August 2nd, with 3 confirmed depredations that led the agency to declare the wolf met the criteria for chronic killing, and it can be lethally managed by the agency. And it is not one of the wolves that came from Oregon, British Columbia, which are all collared.
Yeah, this is a wild one. That's probably likely a Colorado wolf doing Colorado wolf.
Right. Which we were saying all along, they're already here. Yeah. So we don't need to spend the millions of dollars to bring them down here, of which nearly half of them have died. And they've cost millions of dollars, and we're in a budget deficit. Oh, and guess what we're also going to spend money doing? Killing the wolves that are already here. I can't. There are days I can't, Bill. I just can't. With the direction and the leadership of the state.
I look at it with the idea of, okay, I understand the goal behind the program. I don't disagree with the goal. I have questions about how they were going to implement it, especially as we talked about it, taking them significantly out of their territory, because the Canadian territory, just based on weather environment, is going to be vastly different than what they're going to have here in
no, it's
Colorado.
like Mexico compared. It's like tropics down here.
Yeah, it's a real problem. And so
it's going to be 100 degrees today in Colorado.
But they're going to have a problem. That's not what they're going to see there. And that's a problem. The other part is if we're losing 10 out of the ones that have come down so far, that's a significant loss based on trying to bring animals into the area and the population. So it would, I would assume that if we're doing this as far as a program, we would start scaling things back. We would alter the wolves we're choosing. We will alter where they drop. This is a chance for a re-examination rather than to push the pedal to the metal and lean forward and just say, well, we just haven't made the breakthrough yet that we need to. The program does need to be reevaluated, especially the thing that I keep jumping on is the compensation for the farmers and ranchers is way too onerous and way too problematic. That is a huge problem. And if we do have a uncollared wolf, which would be a native wolf here in Colorado that is preying on sheep and other livestock, to me that shows that the native population does exist and is doing what it should in nature, and perhaps instead of trying to import the wolves, we try to cultivate the wolf population that we have here. And there are a variety of ways of doing that. But then again, I don't know. This is a weird one, and I think the most accurate difficulty that you've pointed out, Jeff, is the idea of the large urban centers making the choices for consequences in the rural centers and not understanding what those consequences mean on a day-to-day basis. That the unintended consequences of something that feels good if you're inside the urban corridor here in Colorado does mean a danger to people and their lifestyle out in the rural areas. And we need to listen to them more closely in some of these things.
So I keep bringing up this meme over and over again. It's the missiles being shot from Hamas, and it says my taxpayers at work, and then the rockets going to shoot down the rockets that have been shot from Hamas, and then it also says somehow also my tax dollars at work. Okay, I just want to remind people what this article has taught us. Taxpayer dollars being spent to import wolves that aren't native here. Okay, millions of dollars in doing that. Taxpayer dollars spent to deal with the depredation. So the death of livestock. So my money going to bring in wolves, my money going to pay for the livestock that have died as a result of these wolves, and also my money going to hunt down existing wolves that are living here.
That's a good point. I do have a problem with the idea that they are going to spend the money to go hunt down this wolf that is going after. Yeah, that's because it's a native wolf. The idea is I reimburse them as far as the livestock, and if one of the ranchers takes them out. I shot coyotes when I was younger out on ranch land here in Colorado. That's part of what happens out there, and it's part of getting the balance. I'm not someone that is going to say that we need to remove all of the wolves from the ecosystem, but part of what these wolves will learn is that certain areas and certain groups of prey are more dangerous to hunt. And that is the idea of the ranchers. Here's something that I just thought of, though, Jeff. And this, again, I'm having stupid ideas this morning, so this just may be another one we can add to the list today. But
you were telling Jared Polis to be more like Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know.
I love that.
Stupid
and I
ideas
still
today.
marked it 7:47 a.m. this morning.
I'm going to live to regret that. All righty, now, and I appreciate you for holding me accountable. Is there, and again, I'm not a biologist that is deep enough to understand what's going on, but if we have this wolf that is taking out or going after some of the livestock that, again, might be the easier prey at that point while sometimes being more dangerous, is any of that a result of increased competition for prey from the Canadian wolves? I'm wondering about that balance in the ecosystem. Is the fact that we've introduced more predators making the choice to go after the livestock, again, more dangerous, but they are contained, so it's an easier target while more dangerous? Have we created an imbalance in the ecosystem in Colorado, bringing in additional predators so that the predators that exist here right now have to choose sometimes the easier targets? I'm curious about that. I don't know enough about it, but just from, being a herpetologist, that's kind of what happens when you start introducing an additional predator into the population. The animals that are going to be chosen as prey, it's the idea of if you have more bobcats in the area, more people are going to be missing their cats and little doggies. But again, it's that balance. So I'm curious about the competition for prey between the Canadian wolves and our native wolves. What's that look like? And have the people in charge bothered to look?
Great questions. Well, we'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. I'd love to hear specifically from folks that maybe voted for the Wolves and now regret it.
That would be interesting.
Or maybe you voted for the Wolves and you're like, this is how it all plays out. You guys are a bunch of whiny people. We're establishing wolves here. And yeah, 10 out of the 25 may have died. It's just par for the course when you're doing something this important. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us at 720-819-5115. Look, everyone always asks what makes advanced hair restoration different. Allow me to share along with some details on, and get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. First off, Advanced Hair stands by their results. Their before and afters are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that's hard to find elsewhere. Lastly, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. It's quick, it's simple, it's easy. Now, if you have some flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, well, it's here. Advanced Hair's summer savings event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details and to schedule your free consultation, call 720-459-HAIR. 720-459-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair guaranteed to grow. Before and afters at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Denver Gazette reporting Colorado wildlife officers hunt for wolf in Northwest County as another wolf dies in Wyoming. It's the wolf disasters. If you're here naturally, we're going to hunt you down and kill you. If you're not here naturally, we're going to import you, then kill you when you attack livestock. The whole thing's a mess. Text messages hot on this one. It's the same old thing with Colorado. We're $1.2 billion in debt, and we're worried about importing wolves, chasing them around the state. Bill, to that point, and maybe I'm just nostalgic, but I remember a time with Governor Bill Owens where, man, the Rockies were coming in. We were getting a new Broncos stadium. T-Rex was expanding. He was getting that done under budget, ahead of time. And now with just total Democrat control throughout the state, it's broke. It's never getting fixed. We're out of money. Taxes need to be higher. We have a budget deficit. It just seems like one bad idea after another. Bring back Republican leadership. I remember the good old days.
I don't know. I mean, we paid for that Bronco Stadium. So the idea of Republicans necessarily not being in favor of large tax programs to fund public improvement projects that may be actually private improvement projects, they've got their thing. They've got their thing as well. So, yeah, I think that we have wandered a little bit away from fiscal responsibility here in Colorado, and I think some of that is on purpose by the Democrats. But then again,
wandered away. We jumped off the cliff without a parachute.
I'm not so certain about that one. I mean, we do have budget shortfalls, but I'm not convinced that budget shortfalls wouldn't exist under Republican leadership, because I've seen Republicans in other states and other programs make bad choices as well. I don't think it's necessarily the purview of one party or the other, but where I do think that there is some blame on both parties are those choices, but also, and, I hate to do it this morning, but do a little bit of a self-check in the mirror to Colorado Republicans, that part of this is based on, in part, your messaging, your platform, your people, your efforts, and your lack of getting votes. There's some of that as well. And I would caution members of the Colorado Republican Party blaming the fact that, all these liberals came into our state. Okay, but did you do a good job at selling them on the Colorado lifestyle? Did you do a good job planting your flag and showing where you're going to draw the line? And maybe at a point you didn't understand where those voters were coming from, and giving a little bit in some areas may have helped. And what I mean by that is, if you're offering no solution to another person's problem, even a bad solution looks good. So in times in which no solutions were offered, bad solutions proposed by Democrats looked good simply by comparison. And that's a reckoning that the Colorado Republican Party needs to have, and is refusing to, in my mind. That in part we're here because of failures of your party. Successes and failures by the Democrats.
Bill, at a certain point, the state's in such a ditch that messaging is not the issue. Stop electing Democrats becomes the actual solution out of these problems.
But this wasn't a sudden car crasher. This wasn't a sudden car crash. Y'all were sitting in the car while it slid off the road. Hey, yes, you were. Y'all are sitting in the car. Yes, you're in Colorado. You're voters. You're part of the party. You're part of the electoral process. And you were in the car of Colorado while we started to slide into the ditch and crash. Bill, there is some self-reflection there, too.
I would love to hear this. We're totally out of time.
Yeah,
what would a Republican have to do to earn your vote?
I don't have enough time. Because we already hit the music right now. I can't do it in 30 seconds.
Ever earn your vote.
Here's the thing.
Is anyone but a Republican? The state's in the ditch, and they'll never take responsibility.
Who's the one person on this show that votes along all party lines? Only party lines versus you.
Voted a
That's
Republican?
You. No, you vote all party lines. Yeah, I'm the one that crosses over.
Yeah, so when was the last time you voted for a Republican?